Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Thailand and welcome to Worm Bin Weekends week 33. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, dude, it's been 3 weeks, what's going on, where have you been? Before I get into the backstory of all that, let me first say that it is Sunday, May 1st, 2022. It is the 1-year anniversary of the Northern Thai Garden Guy YouTube channel, and I want to thank all of you who have subscribed and followed and joined me on this journey. And if you haven't yet, guess what? You can do it and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification icon so that you can be alerted from YouTube when I upload new videos. And thank you so much to everybody who's been here with me this whole time. Now, what happened, right? Okay, so last time I met up with you guys, I was getting ready to leave for the Thai New Year, known as Songkran. I was back in week 30. After I got done filming, I was getting ready to start the Mesophilic Cycle for Bin 1, you may recall. The guy that I travel with, because it's a multiple hour drive when we head out into where it is that we go from time to time, he came up and he said, we've got to leave now. I said, man, I've got one last task I've got to do before I go. He said, how long is it going to take? He said, maybe 30 minutes tops. He says, no, we got to go now. There was a storm coming in. So, because bin 1 is going to be a test bin anyway, I didn't get a chance to slurry the vegetables, but I'd had them out for a couple days and they'd already started to become softer because they started to get loaded with microbes already just being out in the open like this. There was only one vegetable, a pumpkin, that didn't start to soften up, but I basically just hand squashed everything, threw it into the bin with new bedding, and I put the pumpkin in there too, even though it was still hard. I put some cuts into it so microbes could get into it, and I left. When I got back at the end of the week, going into week 31, I took a look at the bin and the Mesophilic cycle had already started. It was looking really good, but some of the veg was still hard. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me give it a little bit of water. Let me put the lid back on it. We'll take a look at week 32 to make sure that we're ready to roll. So week 32 came around, and sure enough, everything was nice and soft, including the pumpkin. As you can see, everything was just a squashy mess at this point, but it was still hot. So what I did is I added a bunch of additional shredded bedding, mixed it all together, and put the lid back on it. And now I've taken a look before I started videoing this evening. The temperature is at a room ambient temperature, maybe just a few degrees above, and it is time to populate that bin with worms from bins 2 and 3. And it's also time to get a feeding into these guys because it's been almost 3 weeks since they've been fed, and they are definitely hungry. So that's the deal. The format's going to be a little bit different tonight. What's going to happen is I'm going to have bin 1 next to bins 2 and 3 side by side in the same frame together, because I'm essentially just going to be taking worms out, putting them into bin 1, and then just adding a little bit of food to bins 2 and 3, giving a nice leaf cover to bin 1 afterwards, and we're going to let things ride. Now, bin 1 is probably going to go for about a month like that. I'm not going to be checking in on it. I'm just going to leave them alone, let the worms do their thing so they can get settled in. Bins 2 and 3, I'm going to start to fully harvest, and by that I mean I'm going to take out as many of the castings as possible, get new bedding in there, and just kind of get things rebooted. Now, there's one last thing. I did a garden video also here. In fact, that's part of the reason why you're not seeing this video until after May 1st. If you saw that video, you saw that I decided to go with a different plan for the second stage of bioremediation, and I got rid of the worm food. And the reason is because it's just not practical. And as much as I would like to have BSFL in this process, it's just not practical for my setup here at my home. So what I did is I took all of the food that was in that barrel, which had been sitting there since last September, sealed with tape, if you may recall, because I still had larvae in that bin. I took it, I put it into my main composting system outside, and that way I can kind of push it through the composting process outside. Later this year, around September or October, when I go to harvest it, take out all the sift, it'll be ready, and then I can start feeding it back into the worms. So I'll give a better definition in an actual gardening video of what I've done to redefine the bioremediation process that eventually winds up over here for its final processing and finishing. But with all that being said, and that's a lot, sorry for the long entry, or sorry for the long opening here, let's go ahead and let's get started with the worms. All right, you guys, week 33, bin 2 and bin 1. Now, the cycle on here is finished, and as you can see, it was given new bedding, which is definitely nice and moist now. So the idea this evening is going to be, I'm going to take a handful of worms from bins 2 and 3 and put them in here. each one of the bins is going to get a full whack of some compost, and bins 2 and 3 specifically are going to get a little bit of food in addition to some moisture, because I know they've got to be really dry right now. It's been really hot. So that's the plan. I'm going to start by getting just a quick check in here with the worms in bin 2, and then we'll start migrating the population over there. Oh yeah. That is a husk from one of the mangoes. It's probably an older one. In other words, it's not one of the ones I recently put in. Tell you what I'm going to do before I dig up the worms over here in bin 2. I'm going to make a little hole over here and put some compost down in it for bin 1, so that these guys have got some grit going into this new system with. The lid is not going to be going on any of these bins. Bin 1's going to be getting its own leaf cover at the very end of all this, and I'll show that to you independent of bins 2 and 3 being side by side. I just want it close so that I can just easily put the worms over. Give me just a second, I'll be right back. My little kid's toy. Kid's shovel. Funny stuff. Yeah, it's pretty mushy in here, but that's okay. I'd rather be a little mushy than not. Let's see if I go ahead and just do that. If you're wondering if this went anaerobic, I'm sure it did. It did have a bit of a smell. It still has it, it's just not as bad now. The cycle definitely completed, and this will be a nice new start for our friends. So I'm going to make a little space here for them. I'm going to kind of drop them off. Little compost for bin 1. This is the last of my compost that I harvested last year. I'm almost out. When that happens, I will be primarily using eggshell, crushed up powderized eggshell. All right, let's check on our friends over here. You may recall, I put a lot of moisture in the middle here, just in general. I don't see a lot of worms. It's been 3 weeks, so I don't know, maybe the population increased more than I was hoping it was going to. Which in fact, that's the case. It's probably a good thing I'm doing this now. Wow. I mean, I see worms. I see very small worms. Yeah, this, I may have gone just a little bit too long. It wasn't quite 3 weeks since the last time I was in here, but as you can see, it's looking pretty empty in here. Wow. It may have gotten too dry for them. May have either evac the bin or just given up the ghost. That's really it's kind of scary. Let's check the other side here, see what's going on. Again, this is bin 2, and both bins 2 and 3 have had a pretty decent population this whole time, but obviously being left. Oh yeah, here they are. They're over here on this side. All right, well. They decided to kind of migrate around the bin, it looks like. Still not a whole lot of them, but there's a good majority of them over here that I hadn't seen. You may remember I put a bunch of shredded cardboard bedding over here, and there's still some in here, but a lot of it is gone. Huh. Worms are really, really small. I don't see a single really large adult in here at all. So this may be a really good time for me to be kind of moving things around as far as the population goes. These are really small worms. What I am finding is extremely small. They haven't been getting enough food, and I think a lot of it too has had to deal with had to do with the fact that it's been getting hot. And while I've never really been big on putting a lot of moisture in these bins, it's definitely necessary. Things are pretty dry. I mean, there's still moisture content to it. It's not like it's bone dry in here, but yeah, this is maybe just a little bit too dry conditions for the worms, which is why the population looks to have dwindled quite a bit. So this is probably just a really good time to start migrating them over into bin 1. Obviously it's not going to be a whole lot, but yeah, there's definitely going to be a need to bring some over from bin 3 as well. Bin 3 is in the same place that bin 2 is here. I'm going to have to start adding a lot more moisture, but this also could be a little bit of a blessing in disguise because I'm going to start really feeding these bins a lot more. And in doing so, I think it'll help the worms regain size, and also adding some moisture to it a little bit more often than I've been, I think it's probably going to help as well. There are not a lot of worms in bin 2 here. Not a lot at all. Very, very small. Let's bring this back over. Some remnant from bin 1 we fed 3 weeks ago. Yeah, that is really sad. I let it go for too long, I think is what happened. I mean, there's still worms in here, don't get me wrong. They're in here, but they're very, very small. Obviously, with the cycle that was done here in bin 1, there's no need for additional food in there right now at all. All right, let's get some food in here for these guys, and let's also get some moisture in here. So I think that's going to help. Sorry for the angle this time, guys. It's just a one-time thing where I'm doing all 3 bins in one video like this, and it's just because of the migration over to bin 1. Man, I'll tell you what, it's not a whole lot of population to migrate. Hang on 1 second, I'll be right back. Little compost. Little moisture. That moisture will pull down at the bottom and spread around the bottom more easily. About a half dozen long beans. It's covered up. It's pretty dry in there, so I'm going to add some more water up on top of this as well. All right, and additional moisture. There we go. That's bin 2. Let me grab bin 3 now. All right, and there's bin 3. So bin 3, still getting sprouts coming up. I know there was a couple in bin 2 as well that Or more like this. This is definitely the cucumber, or maybe the pumpkin. I think it's probably cucumber. Let's move our leaf top here and see what we got. Mango. 1, 2 pits. Completely defleshed. No worms that I can speak of. Up here at the top, so probably not. And one content, a little bit of it. Let's go in the middle and see what we got. Oh yeah. Again, smaller worms, but a heavier population over here. It was a lot more moisture in the middle. I put moisture, if I recall correctly, in both bins. I mean, pretty good amount of it at least. But that's what's going to be going into bin 1 here. Let's see what else we got. It's kind of airing it out a little bit because it is damp down below. No real big worms to speak of. Just a lot of big sprouts. And this was the one that still had, this is the ginger, and it finally, after all this time, and remember this came from the original cycle in bin 1, that's finally been worked down by the worms to such a degree that it's really become very fibrous and empty, and you can still smell the ginger, but yeah, they definitely went through it now. Imagine they probably did. They were probably starving. Yeah, very handful of worms there. Into bin 1. Let's check the sides real quick. We'll get a feeding in. Your mango pits. Our ginger. This ginger was part of the original failed cycle in bin 1 that was added back in December, so it's been what, it's been 6 months, roughly, almost. Okay. You can see that there was a lot of moisture that pulled into the sides over here. Some worms over here. It's nice and crumbly. You can tell there was good moisture there. Worms over there. A couple more in this handful. Mango husk. And another one. This is bin 3, so this is the mango bin. I got the majority of the mango seed. Mango pits, right? There you go. Nice handful of worms. Again, very small. Moisture and food. Moisture and food is the key. I think that, and just maintaining a proper population. These guys get really huge. I mean, if you keep African night crawlers, you know what I'm saying. I mean, these guys get huge. They're just matted in moisture right now. They're looking for moisture, and that's why they're doing this. But I'm gonna try to balance this out. I'm gonna need to get some additional bedding put together. But we're gonna put these guys over in bin 1 as well. Just to help reestablish the population. Put that in as well. Okay. Another handful. All right. Another mango husk. Let's move all this over here now. Let's check this side, and then we'll go straight down the middle, get our feeding in. And then the way things are going to work, guys, is, you know, obviously bin 1 is starting basically from square one again. That's going to become its test bin, a test bin. It'd still be part of Worm Bin Weekends, but I'll try to specify a completely different playlist for it that it'll just go ahead and be used for testing. Bins 2 and 3 will still be part of the regular Worm Bin Weekends playlist that you're seeing this in right now. But they too eventually will be kind of divided up into other sections for tests and things like that. Looks like bedding. Yeah. Okay, yeah, more worms over here on the corners. Again, not really big, but present. I don't know if you can see that I'm dripping sweat, but it is warm. All right, some more worms over here as well. Put that in. It looks okay. It just, population is small. It's dwindled a bit, which I think is probably to be expected. That should be a fair distribution of the worms between the two bins. Bin 2, I may have to think about what to do there as well. I'm going to try to, like I said, start giving it more food and giving it more moisture. These guys really love their food, so I mean, obviously if they don't get it, they don't have anything to really get big from. These bins have been going 33 weeks now, so I mean, I really need to get these castings out of here and start things over again. I think that's really necessary at this point. Okay, so that is that. Let's get a feeding in, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Be right back. Same things with bin 2, a little compost. Little water. And some Thai long beans. There we go. Cover it up. Of course, we got all these mango husks as well. I'll keep them on the top because the worms apparently kicked them up anyway. That way they can focus on the other foods. And that's that. All right. Let me give just a little bit more moisture to the bin here. Because the leaf top, as you can see, is starting to go away on both these bins. It's I mean, each one of them is missing a lot of leaf material, so this is going to be really necessary to keep the moisture in place. There we go. All right, that's bin 3. Time to finish things up here for bin 1. So we put in, a new population of worms. Spread this around a little bit. This already has some microbes. I'm bringing in existing ones from their from where they were living before in bins 2 and 3, in the way of their castings. The only other thing they really need right now, there's more than enough moisture in here from the cycle, but just as with all the other bins, how about a nice leaf cover? I know some of you hate me crunching these up, so I'll go ahead and fast forward to the end result. And there we go. That'll just help keep the moisture in the bin. And I like the look of it as well. I picked this idea up from AV. I think it's a wonderful idea. It just gives it a really nice natural look. But that is now bin 1. When we pick up in week 34 for bins 2 and 3, it'll be week 1 for this one, and it's going to have its own playlist. We're going to try some tests with bin 1. Primarily, I'm going to see what I can do to get this bin first to repopulate, and then see if I can't come up with a really good recipe of foods to get these guys to just chow down and grow in size. Because my bins, my worms in all 3 of these bins has been very small for a while now. So we need to fix that. But that is it. That is bins 1, 2, and 3 here in week 33. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And again, I really want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed. And even if you haven't, for viewing my videos, I really appreciate you. 1 year on YouTube, it's been a really great year. Looking forward to what 2022 has to offer. And I just want to thank you again. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you would. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, share it as well, and hit the bell notification icon if you would, so that you can be alerted to when I upload new content. Listen, wherever you are in this world today or tonight, you take care. Bye for now.